Yeah, welcome to part 3 of our self-mastery series here in 2023. This is the last in this workshop series. We did, I think, 18 workshops this year, guys. That's a library, an archive that is really recommendable if you have missed out on a few of those. Go to the Sacred Self-Healing Forum. They're all listed there. And if you are in the email or you received all the recordings in the email, with every email, I add the latest recording to it. Yeah. And here in this, so adjusting to change was the overall subject of 2023. Just a quick recap. In the first part, we were talking about just generally how to tune into what we truly want and what sort of the most common issues are with that. Yeah, we looked at the meaning of energetic as a term, and came to the conclusion that really all it means is just sort of a more holistic perception, a more holistic point of view. Yeah, bringing all different aspects of life together, understanding ourselves as humans, building a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, and clarifying, what it actually is that we all strive for. Yeah, and talked about the inner and outer expressions, and we did have a few insights in part 2 around where manifestations actually come from, and how everything that exists must have existed in some consciousness. Yeah, and when I say some consciousness, there's assuming that you're familiar with different levels of consciousness. It must have existed in some consciousness before. Yeah, obviously for our personal life, it must have existed in our consciousness before. Whether we are aware of it or not is, the part that we then try to better identify in part 2. And today I would like to bring all this together. Yeah, how our conceiving, our perceiving, obviously also our choices, our actions, but also our awareness level. Yeah, how that plays into what we manifest. The big question that I raised in the beginning of this 3-part series is, what in us manifests and what contributes toward these manifestations actually, materializing in the 3D. Yeah, and we've already kind of got a first feel for that. We have the content of our manifestation on one hand, that is literally what it is that you want in your life. Yeah, so the content of it, the detail of it. And then we also need to look at the conditions, yeah, the terrain, the environment. Is this what we want? Even does this even fit in? Yeah, we had a bunch of examples here. For example, wanting to have a dog in your life, and I have the permission to share this, but living in an apartment, in a house that doesn't allow pets. So there is something about the common sense of that. Yeah, does it make sense, yeah, to pray or to meditate or to energize certain things in your life when the actual obstacle, yeah, is something as simple as a rental contract? Yeah, so I mean, wouldn't it be much more energy efficient, yeah, to change the place you live, even if you're not ready to have a dog? Or you could replace this example with any other thing that you want in your life. Yeah, even if you don't want it right away, it's not the point. But the point is that whatever it is that we want to manifest in our life needs to have the space. Yeah, it needs to come to an expression. So something coming to an expression is basically the pre-phase, yeah, to something materializing. So first it needs to be conceived, and then it needs to come into expression somehow. It needs to be cultivated. We need to do the first step. We need to make choices that, basically, indicate that we're going into this direction. Yeah, and then, we need to give it some time. And many of you are also in the A Course of Miracles, A Course in Miracles study group, where we learned that, at the end of the day, it's not really our ego that manifests things anyway. And it's, in the resistance that our ego has, for the greater powers in the universe, yeah, that actually make it hard. Yeah, so if you are not familiar with this, the Secrets of Healing course is all about this, yeah, like how our ego actually technically works against us. Yeah, and some of these obstacles that we create within ourselves also belong into the category of conditions. So let me give you another example. Yeah, if you want, let's say, a happy relationship, yeah, you want more love in your life, you want more connection, but you have a negative attitude toward your partner or toward people altogether. Yeah, or some of the examples that you guys brought up, Janet, I think that was you. You want to be more social, but you don't really want to, give up the time that you like spending with yourself. So there's an attitude issue there that somehow needs to be addressed. Yeah, without addressing that, the conditions for your true heart's desire to be more social in this case uh, do not find the right breeding ground. They don't find the right focus in you, yeah, to materialize, because your attitude or also your behaviors, they work against it. Yeah, if we have a negative attitude to people, we may feel that we want to stay away from others, yeah, or that we don't actually like others. Yeah, so all these things are things that belong to the energetics of life. Yeah, they transport. And today I promised I would talk a little bit more about the interactions, the energetic interactions, yeah, not just between ourselves and other people, but also between ourselves and the world, yeah, and the universe at large, and perhaps also, yeah, ideally, the consciousness, the higher consciousness that is ultimately doing the manifestation. So a lot of times we have, these kind of mystification of the powers at work. And a lot of times I mentioned that things are much more mechanical than you think they are. Yeah, but when I say mechanical, I don't really mean material. I mean mechanical, meaning that they're laws, they're mechanics, they're dynamics. Yeah, these things aren't as mystical as they appear. Yeah, for our ego, they may appear as mystical. Just like how Santa Claus is very mystical for young children, yeah, but not so much for 12 or 13 or 15-year-old, yeah, because they understand, yeah, that it's actually the parents who do that. Sorry if I bursted any of your bubbles right now. Yeah, I didn't mean to spoil that, but you know what I mean. Like for a 6-year-old, how the gifts get underneath the Christmas tree, and like how all this materializes is a huge mystery. But for a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old, it's not. And that's the difference between the 6-year-old and the 12-year-old is, well, experience, of course. Maybe they caught their parents. I got to be quiet because I have a 9-year-old here who still believes in Santa. Yeah, maybe they caught their parents. Maybe they uncovered the mystery of gift giving at Christmas, or You know, they just learned, you know, how all this works and why parents do this, etc., etc. So there are some mysteries in life that we uncover in the course of our own becoming more mature, becoming wiser, having more experience. And that's really a learning curve that never ends. So the whole point of these energy talks and investigating the spiritual, the non-material aspects of life is, you guessed it, yeah, to uncover the mysteries, yeah, to learn more, to mature, to become wiser, yeah, to follow an inner impulse, yeah, that allows us to better understand ourselves, to better understand other people, the world, yeah, and how this materialization, yeah, from energy into matter, how that works. And I hope that this is why you're here. Because at the end of the day, the biggest mystery for all of us is how to manifest, how to bring things into existence. There's different levels of that, obviously, you know, for someone who cannot read or write. Yeah, like a scroll or a book is a huge mystery. Yeah, how could these people write all this down? Yeah, but for someone who can read and write, it's not a mystery. You know, be it the pyramids or be it, you know, other things. There's things that we just simply don't know or that knowledge got lost. But there's also things that we can acquire through investigation, through exploration, through self-awareness. And one of the greatest mysteries of life, yeah, besides, you know, how can I make things happen? Yeah, is ourselves, understanding ourselves, understanding, yeah, like all these different aspects of ourselves that we so frequently talk about here. Yeah, um, the physical body, yeah, the psychological stuff, the emotional stuff, the social stuff, and the mental stuff. To understand how all this forms and how these dynamics play out. Yeah, and we've already discovered that, you know, we live in a world or a universe that is has sort of a dualistic nature, which means that there always is, you know, sort of the possibility for things to develop toward or away from things, yeah, to um, you know, have a higher or a lower expression. And the lower expressions are typically the ones that we, well, struggle with, yeah, because what it actually is that we want to manifest, you know, this desire to change something, this desire to get more of something or less of something, yeah, that comes from, you know, sort of an impulse in us that tells us there's something better out there, something better possible. Yeah. So I sometimes call this the divine impulse or divine spark because, you know, seeking for the higher expression, yeah, seeking for the more optimal, the more peaceful, the more harmonious, the more effective, the more easy to a degree, you know, is you know, the big driving power behind evolution. Yeah, and so we are familiar with concepts such as self-healing because we understand that, you know, healing is basically the process of increasing, yeah, the expression, the quality of an expression of something. Yeah, and obviously physical healing would be, you know, to increase the quality of our physical condition. Emotional healing would be increasing the quality of our emotional um, you know, perception and how we feel about things, yeah, how we feel within ourselves and you know, respectively then the social stuff, how we feel about other people and our interactions. And the mental part brings in a higher expression in in regard to, what we can conceive, what we can imagine, what, we can sort of ingeniously, bring into our lives through insights, through, new perspectives, through, inspiration. Yeah. So let's keep that in mind. Let's always understand, sort of the first principle that is underneath that which we are seeking. Now, as a homework, I asked you guys, so pick one area of your life where you want to change the conditions. Yeah, where you want to seek or where you want to materialize, the quality in your life. And let's hear this from you now, what it is that you've identified in your life, the aspect in your life that you're primarily seeking improvement and evolution, a higher expression. Just sort of as a general poll here, what is the area in your life or areas that some of these, they're a little color coded, some of these kind of go together, can't really separate them from one another, but this is the typical self-mastery life wheel that I use for energy coaching. Which area of your life have you identified as the area or areas that you would like to increase the expression in your life? Find the higher expression. Who wants to go first? Okay. See chat here.
Hi, it's Janet.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, let me know if you can't hear me over the
Yes, I
background
hear
noise.
you, honey. I hear you. Yes.
For certain, it has been around a change, and it'll be a combination of, I guess it would be career actually and
Okay.
finance. So the two, I'd like to go
Okay.
hand in hand.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I can see that. So like here. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Linda is sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just seeing if it ties in with anything else, because I noticed that after the last one, the subtleties of making these changes rather than the surface words and the surface things, it seems more beneficial to recognize perhaps some of maybe the undercurrents that are actually
Yes.
even bigger. Like there's a career in finance, but to me, I'm seeing if I think that would then go into, it actually pulls me into love and spirituality and
Okay.
in like a self-love, like caring, like I'm doing something that's not like I'm doing something that's good for the world, because I already tried that. It's not bringing me to the finance thing. So something that's a little bit, the undercurrent of that's not even just self-satisfaction. It feels more self-recognizing, I guess. Yeah.
So maybe into the direction of self-image too, like how you're seeing yourself, like the esteem that you have with yourself, maybe sort of like, this area.
I
Uh,
thought about that, but I don't really see it that much. It's like a secondary result, but
okay.
I feel like it's more of me a self-recognition, acknowledgement, and uh, distinction of what's been part of my life all my life that I kind of didn't really. It has a little bit deeper root that I kept walking past.
Okay, so I like where you're going with this. I like how you're investigating sort of the undercurrents and how these aspects possibly interact. Okay, so basically what I hear you say, and you see here these inner and outer circles, yeah? So the outer circle being the highest expression, the inner circles being the lower expression. You definitely want an increase here, okay? Yeah, but you also see that there is a connection with, well, I guess here, yeah. Why do I include freedom, because freedom has something to do with choosing, yeah, whom you want to love, which includes, the choice between, loving yourself more, yeah, or others, yeah, prioritizing other people's needs over your own. So, yeah, so I'm putting this together, and perhaps also this area here, because we know that self-love has a huge impact on our health, but also our social health. Yeah, so this is what I heard you say, Janet. Yeah, that these areas are the areas of your main concern.
Well, this is really good because I kind of, my eyes are not, didn't get to focus on the word freedom there. I think if we're going to make a triangle, it would be like strongly the career, finance, freedom. It kind of makes a triangle and catches some of the other
Mm-hmm.
colors too. So,
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, because freedom, I
yeah.
mean, the
So
freedom to
that's, I really,
choose
that,
things.
I appreciate that part of it.
Yeah, the freedom to choose things, obviously something that we all want, can be heavily restricted by finances. Yeah, depending on what it is that we prioritize. Now, not all choices require finances, but some do. Yeah. But then again, if I may, just to help you sort this a little bit, let's say we create these three clusters here. And I would say, Janet, prioritize which of these three, because, I mean, this is like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 different areas in life. This is obviously just sort of schematic, yeah. Like there's it's much more difficile, it's much more differentiated, in our life, and we don't use these terms necessarily. "Oh, I want to work on my self-image." I don't know a lot of people who would actually say that, but feel into them. They carry a lot of different things with them. So if we reduce it to these three areas, to these three clusters, and you would have to prioritize what is actually the most important. Not so much the how to get there, but which is the most important for you. You have to create some kind of hierarchy, just because in this 3D world where we have timelines and stuff like that, right? We can't really resolve too many things at once. We kind of have to start somewhere. How would you prioritize them?
Well, in the best frame of the word career and removing a lot of stereotypes and negativities that can come along with
Right.
that, I have a feeling that that would be the most precise, taking into account spiritual, holistic, and 3D. Yeah.
How do you see this developing? So if you have this figured out, that's a one. Yeah, if you have this figured out, how would that affect the others?
Well, to me, the definition of career, like in the most, right now the only word is voluptuous. Voluptuous form, like inclusive form, is it's like a balance of what is really um, not driving, but really
Yeah.
motiv- motivates and moves one's life forward. And at the same time, it's being quote unquote recognized and appreciated and growing. Like a career
Hmm.
grows, I guess. That's really a good point. And it makes like
I
this
like that. Yeah.
solid foundation kind of feel.
It has to do with
You've written a
esteem.
book or something. It feels like you've written a
Yeah.
book if you have this career that's
It has to do with
wholesome and
self-esteem, with courage, with
yeah.
very, very third chakra. I may change the colors one day, just to give that to create a connection here. But it's very third chakra. It's like knowing who you are in this world. Yeah, knowing what it is that you
Yeah.
bring into this world. Yeah, so I like how you look at this. Okay, so and you say rightly so, if I understand this right, if you have that figured out, then your finances will follow, which most of the manifestation, programs, books, and so forth, law of attraction and so forth, kind of propagate. Yeah, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but there definitely is an important aspect to this. When I use esoteric terms, I call this will. Yeah, will. So we had one workshop here, how to master your will. Okay, that falls into this category, definitely. Willing, not in the sense of ego willing, but in the sense of like being able to translate. You said writing a book, that which you carry in your head, to bring this down onto a piece of paper in a structured manner, in a way that others would be interested in reading that. That is, an expression of will. Okay, so that one is first, it's the sense of self. Yeah, the sense of self, which I'm hearing there.
Well, it's interesting too that you say will, because
Mm-hmm.
the variance sometimes in one's life, if I don't know, whatever, for me it has been, if I was willing to recognize and really be able to get clear on what you just explained, like kind of like living in purpose, but not really getting in touch
Yeah,
fully
it goes hand in hand with like persistence, tenacity, commitment.
in the 3D.
Yeah, sorry, you're breaking up a little bit. It goes hand in hand with like persistence, commitment, tenacity. Yeah, like to bring to muster the energy. Yeah, to actually follow through with something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
located here in this area. And it's rooted in the sense of self. Yeah, I know who I am. I know what I can do. That's only a matter of time till I manifest it. That's that area. Okay, so in your world, okay, that's the number one priority. And if you had to make a choice, obviously life isn't like we have to make choices like that, but there is a component of how we prioritize things, yeah, where we direct our energy and what we manifest. So we kind of have to put it into perspective. Which would you call second priority and which would you call third priority? Oh, I can't hear you right now. Yeah, the rooster. We can't hear you right now, Janet. Yeah, it seemed like the internet connection was a little weak. So we're just gonna put this on the side right now. Oh, there you go. Yeah, there's a weakness there in your internet connection, Janet. If you can hear me. Linda, you've mentioned. Let's. Oh, there you go. Sorry, Janet is back. Are you back? Oh yeah,
Can
we
you
can
hear
hear you.
me?
Yes, we hear you. If you had to prioritize, if
I'll
you
try
had
to do it
to.
quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be finance, because I've had freedom before. It doesn't necessarily always balance everything out.
Mm-hmm.
The finance also
All right,
then
I clustered this
reflects
together.
this self-love. Hmm?
I clustered this, okay, because the willingness to follow through, and I happen to know this for a fact in your case, will automatically change your finances. So let's see this as a cluster. Yeah. So other than
Oh,
that,
okay.
which of these two, like sort of more emotional freedom, if you will, and love and relationship, or more like sort of social stability, home stability?
Well, if I'm really going to consider something after that, being realistic, I have to still keep considering my health, because I can see where
Mm-hmm.
I can push in an area. However, that's kind of put me in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that can
that's
put a stop to
personally what
everything,
happened.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if you had are you saying that this should be first priority?
No, I feel like I'm just at that little line where
Okay.
I've been able to step my energy into this other realm.
Mm-hmm. And that's like, in your case, self-care. Yeah. Sorry for my handwriting here. It's difficult to write this with.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if you had to choose between those two, which again is just theory here, but if you had to,
Oh, well,
the
they kind of
social
start flipping.
home stability or the love relationship and the freedom, the emotional freedom that comes with that.
Oh, prioritize third. It looks like it would be a good idea. That would be the next big energetic step. Because I did do this and I got scammed on mine.
Mm-hmm,
Focus on
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
loving relationships.
Okay,
So
yeah. So
I don't want to
that
be
wasn't
blind to it.
okay. So
But
are you
it's
saying
very important to me. Yes.
that you would it? Okay, so be precise. Remember the order form. Okay. Do you want to have home stability and social stability, like a functioning infrastructure, support system, and so forth, friends, etc. And then manifest a loving relationship, romantic relationship, or the other way around.
I have a feeling for me, it's better the other way around in terms of terminology. Yeah.
So, like
I mean,
this.
not that I don't want friends, but I kind of have my
Oh,
friend thing
okay,
and
okay,
to like focus. What I'm saying is, if I'm with the way I'm focusing on other things, if I focus that way on social friendship, it feels like it's already kind of the glass is a little bit half full, and then the loving that when I would prioritize the more romantic, I guess, love relationship,
okay.
because that's a little
Now,
more empty.
now, you did mention something. You've tried that and you got scammed. Okay, so a negative experience where you prioritize this over one and two. Is that what I'm hearing? And that didn't work out.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a good experience. I mean, not a good experience for the ego, but it is a good experience in the sense of maturing. Because what you found out is that without a good foundation, yeah, this is very hard to materialize. Yeah,
Well, too, the choices. I was making poor choices,
yeah,
blind to it.
yeah.
However, I was
Now,
making poor
the
choices
blindness,
because.
yeah, the blindness is something that I want to address here in a moment that has to do with perception, yeah, when we go through the obstacles. But you've already made some life experiences, yeah, and that is that, um, you know, it can't, you know, love can heal a lot and freedom is important, but there needs to be a good foundation for it. There needs to be a good sense of self, a good routine for self-care, so that when we enter a love relationship, that we don't lose our sense of self, that we don't lose our self-care. And that can include health, but this can also include our financial health. Yeah. So that's important to remember. Okay. That your life has taught you something, and you guys all know that we all have different karmic aspects. So we get to learn different aspects with a different emphasis in our life. We all have to figure out all these areas. This is ultimately, you know, it's all our task here to bring more harmony, to bring more balance into all these different areas of life. But the way we approach it is usually determined by, you know, what we bring in, yeah, such as karma. Yeah, this is kind of like what our soul self, you know, decides before we incarnate into this life. Yeah, like what is the lesson that I really want to drive home in this lifetime? And there are some of these that you have already experienced. And now the question is, how is this changing your outlook on your life's manifestation, on your self-mastery? So what I hear you say, yeah, and this is a positive note, that there's a part of you that wishes you could just focus on love, but your experiences in life have shown you that, you know, a love relationship cannot bring balance into your life, especially if the other areas are not balanced. Okay? There's nothing wrong with this. Yeah, many of us have made that experience, especially females. Yeah, because females have a tendency to prioritize, yeah, this area of life, yeah, and have a tendency to disregard self-care, to disregard, you know, sort of the self-actualization, which is the sense of self, yeah, in this area. So you've learned that without a proper sense of self and what you can accomplish and who you are, yeah, and the according care, routine, and cultivation of that, you know, love relationships don't have a good foundation. Here also an extra piece of information for all of you guys who have a track record with narcissistic relationships. Okay, so what you're seeing here, Janet, I hope you don't mind, is a very typical life reel of someone who has experienced injury through narcissistic relationships. Yeah, because these kind of experiences, yeah, that we make, these kind of painful experiences that we make in relationships with people who have very strongly expressed narcissistic traits, they only work if there is a weakness in the sense of self. Anybody with a proper, stable sense of self will not have that kind of experience. Hmm? Yeah, so maybe that's also a little clue here. Yeah, I think that your assessment, yeah, is a good conclusion based on some of these experiences that you've made. You mentioned something in regard to spirituality and contribution, and that you've tried that and that didn't work out either. So there's something here as well, okay, yeah, that perhaps needs to be addressed at some point. But it's smart to, you know, pick 1 or 2 or 3 areas at first, so that it doesn't become too overwhelming. At the end of the day,
Well, I can say briefly about that, and
mhm.
it matches with what you said earlier. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're blipping out a little bit,
No.
but go ahead. I hear you right now. Oops, no, I don't hear you.
Quote unquote spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I hear you
came
again.
from the mind and more ego a little bit, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it was also probably, you know, due to innocence or, you know, inexperience. We talk about these new age traps a lot. Yeah, they have to do with, you know, awakening to something like a spiritual reality, but not having enough education, not having enough experience with that yet. No, and therefore it's easy for us to fall for things, yeah, that can pull us into or send us to the wrong exit, as I say so often. Yeah, so many of us have, those of us who are older, have already gone through that. Yeah. at the end of the day, we have to figure all these areas of life out, and spirituality and contribution. Yeah, they're the highest level of manifestation. Where it's no longer, about us and our survival and our esteem, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah, but where we become so free that we, have enough foundation to focus our efforts, our manifestation efforts toward, contribution, what we want to bring into this world and what we want to leave behind. So all that is great, and the awareness of that, Janet, will serve you greatly. Yeah. In the end, when it comes to, sort of coming up with something like a step, a list of steps, keep that in mind, okay? Because right now, based on your life experience, yeah, these two areas here, sense of self, following through in conjunction with self-care and health are the biggest areas that you want to focus your energies on. Yeah, so the
Thank you.
lesson is don't get distracted by love relationships. Yeah, because it's not the time yet. Yeah, these need to be stable first. All right, let's erase all this.
Very good.
Yeah, this is helpful, Janet. Yeah, this is the common sense part,
Well,
obviously holistically
it's
seen.
helpful and it's very interesting. Just in terms of, again, taking what we the surface of what we think we want, we're supposed to have some of the programming. I think it kind of dissolves it, and opens it up to make it more self-realizing rather than externals.
Yes, yes, and we already know this. We've talked about this all year, and I've been talking about this for the last 10 years minimum. That it's an inside job. We really need to find the answers on the inside and stop looking for validation or anything on the outside. Why? Because the outside uh, is not a higher expression. Yeah. So if we lived in a world where everybody had holistic living figured out, yeah, and had brought, this kind of balance into their life already, well, then it would be good to listen to other people's advice or to follow other people's examples. But right now, and this is something that you really need to understand, we are living in a highly toxic society, yeah, and time, yeah, here in our human development. I don't think that the conditions have ever been as toxic as they are right now, in the literal sense, yeah, with poisons and all that we surround ourselves with and that we put into our bodies, yeah, so affecting our health and a lot of the social aspects as well as the financial aspects. Yeah, just thinking of like all the people that uh, are driven into bankruptcy because of health issues that could have been avoidable through, healthier lifestyles, healthier food, less toxins in their lives. Then, emotionally and socially, our societies are extremely divisive right now, extremely polarized. Yeah. Everybody is turning against everybody, yeah, on all levels, be it on the career, the finance, yeah, even the health level, uh, the religious and spiritual level. Yeah, there is no consensus on in none of these areas in our societies, not even within what we would call ethnic groups or tribal groups. Then emotionally, like everything that has to do with home and family and love, yeah, has become so toxic nowadays that nobody really knows anymore what to go for. Is it a good thing to get married and to have a stable relationship? Is it even, I think aspects around gender confusion and so forth, they all play into this. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of controversy, yeah, and there's no end in sight at this very moment. And adding to all of this, the mental issues that occur through that, yeah, the confusion we have in our minds, the perception issues, the mind control, and all the things that we are bombarded with day in, day out. We've never had this before as humanity, you know, this amount of bombardment through internet, through smartphones, etc. So we have to like really put this into account. We have a toxicity in regard to information. Yeah, this was never there before. Information was sacred. Information was kept, you know, and maintained, okay, in order to keep it clean. Yeah, so now we're experiencing, you know, this contamination basically on all of all of the levels of society, including, you know, political systems, including financial or economical systems, including religious systems. Yeah, so this is part of, you know, like investigating things on a larger, from a larger perspective, yeah, what the outer conditions are. So if we can constatate that we are living in a toxic world, toxic society today, then seeking approval, seeking advice, or seeking, you know, role models in that society at large is not a good idea, because all we would manifest is the very same toxicity that the society presents to us. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? It's almost like a non-brainer. Yeah. If you want to know how to conduct a loving and lasting relationship or marriage, are you going to ask an 18-year-old, or are you going to ask someone who was divorced 10 times, or, you know, who has a track record of really erratic, dramatic, and toxic relationships? No, you wouldn't. You would ask someone who, you know, is maybe celebrating their 50th anniversary and who has, you know, a really positive outlook on relationships and is able to express that, yeah, who has managed, yeah, who has mastered, yeah, to bring this into expression. That's where you would look. And it's really difficult to find those examples nowadays, to find these people, to find these societies. This is, you know, just pure realism, that there's no negativity in that, there's a truth in that. So looking outside for guidance, the outside in this 3D outside, is not going to get us there. Striving for what other people have is not going to get us there, because the majority of people, I'm not saying all, but we have like a sort of a 85% ratio, yeah, so 85% of people are not interested in manifesting a higher expression. They are still, you know, sort of trying to reinvent the wheel, yeah, based on, you know, mostly ego paradigm and dualism, which are, you know, basically the causes for this toxicity. So if we want to manifest something that is greater than that which we experience all around us, that we need to break through a bunch of barriers. We need to work with an inner compass that allows us to see what is right, yeah, regardless of what other people think, or, you know, how the system thinks. That's sort of the whole point of the higher expression, is that you become a pioneer of something, that you break through sort of an inertia that is there. And the inertia right now that we're finding in our society is toxicity, which means, heck no. Yeah, if you listen to what mainstream media propagates, if you listen to what politicians say, if you listen to, you know, what most of the medical society or what most of the economical society or even most of the environmental or social rules of the, groups propagate, you can manifest exactly that which we are already dealing with, the very thing that is bringing us out of balance, the very thing that is, egotistical, the very thing that is not conducive, yeah, to what we want to manifest in our life. You have to be willing to see that with open eyes. That's not negativity, that is a form of dealing with what is. Yeah? And that's, as many of you know, 200 on the Hawkins' scale of consciousness. See, that's a minimum requirement. You have to be willing to look at things the way they are. And that includes, your awareness and where you are looking for guidance. And let's go through more examples here. Linda, if you are ready to share, because you've already texted here what it is that you would like to prioritize. You say social and loving connection. Okay, so yeah, this is let me just double check with you so that I don't put the marker in here the wrong corner. When you say social, what exactly do you mean with social?
I think I mean just connecting with other people.
All right, so is it okay to just call deeper connection?
Yes.
Yeah, like on a level of a romantic relationship and family maybe, and just in general, that deeper connection. Okay, because social here in this self-mastery life wheel is a little different.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's not your mistake. You just got to understand it. That is more sort of quantitative, yeah, being more social. But what you want is deeper connection, yeah?
Yeah.
That's more qualitative. You want a higher quality. I'm sure you know a lot of people. I'm sure if people know you, they will say about you that you're quite social,
Yes.
right? So it's not, you're not looking for more. You're looking for deeper. Yeah, you're looking for a higher quality of that.
Yeah, I'm not looking for more I'm not looking
More
for more.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, not for like, what you want. And actually say it in your own words. That's probably better.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm looking for a deeper connection with the people that I'm already connected with.
or others, that you would allow into your life
Oh, sure.
that bring that in, right? I mean, not more as in quantitative, but deeper or higher as in qualitative. Okay, so then we're looking at this area here. Okay, this is the area of deeper connection. Okay, and this may not be aware to you, but deeper connection also includes, connection with everything else. Yeah, so when we feel the impulse, yeah, to connect deeper, then this can also imply, yeah, connecting with, like, say, the planet, yeah, the nature, yeah, or animals, or a certain feeling, yeah, that we're aiming at.
That makes sense.
You understand what I mean? It's
Yeah.
you're not asking for something that could be measured with a measure stick. You're asking for is something subjective, and that is expressed in a certain feeling. And that feeling, all right, you want that to be more. You want that to be deeper. You want to connect more with your life, really, with everything that is in your life, yeah. Because the desire to wanting to connect deeper always comes from a lack of connection. So we may have a lot of stuff in our life, a lot of people, but it's not really satisfying, or it doesn't feel meaningful, or it doesn't feel It's not moving you enough. Yeah. This is, I don't want to put words into your mouth,
Oh,
but it's,
absolutely.
does
And
this, okay.
yeah, and so some of it is intimate loving connection, some of it is loving connection, some of it is passion connection. So it's all, you're exactly right. It's a deeper,
Mhm. How would you measure that?
with a smile on my face.
Like that. Yeah, that's a very good answer, because obviously it's subjective. It's something that you want to feel. So now if you use descriptors just for your order form, yeah, to become able to be a little more precise. If you had to describe it with an internal feeling, yeah, so a smile on your face is, well, it's an outer expression of an internal feeling. But try to describe the internal feeling.
Yeah, so I can feel that divinity connection at the back of my heart.
You have a reference feeling for that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. And you would like to have more of that? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or more often, or well, really all the time. So I want that to sort of be the backdrop to my life. And so
Okay.
to be the backdrop means I need to feel it while I'm in connection.
Okay. All right. So this is important here, and everybody who's watching this, take good note now. All right. So, because most of the workshops, most of the issues that we discuss here within this community have to do with exactly that. You have a deeper connection. Yeah, we want to feel something. Yeah, and my task here, my job, and all of this is to inspire you with certain subjects, to be someone who uses, who articulates this a lot, who gives you descriptors and vocabulary words so that you can express this better. But also, to help you form your inner lexicon. Yeah. So the inner lexicon and the inner compass, those are like two important part of our manifestation efforts. The inner lexicon is the ability to describe things, to express things. The inner compass is the reference feelings that we perform in the course of our life. Yeah, sort of where we have the strongest magnetism, if you will. Yeah, where the compass needle tends to point at. Also, our priorities. Yeah, so but without the inner lexicon, it's very difficult for us to form an inner compass. So the inner lexicon is basically the ABC, yeah, including emotional descriptors, communication, also the self-awareness and self-reflection work that is needed to even articulate certain things. And then the inner compass is basically where we put all this to action and form something like, yes, that is what I want to feel like. That is, how I imagine it. Yeah. And then the lexicon helps us to express that, even if it's just for ourselves. And that's my question now for you, Linda. Yeah. How do you know that you're feeling that? You said you have a reference feeling for something like something that you call divine love, I think you said, or divine connection. Yeah, connection with higher power somehow. Correct? That's what you mean, right? There's a sort of a deeper, a different love, not an earthly love. Yeah, more like a heavenly love. If that's just a different way of differentiating between, lower expression, higher expression, or material and immaterial. So you're not really looking for more friends or, more partners. You want a deeper experience. You want a deeper connection with, what you already have. Okay, yeah, you want to up your game. That's really what you're
Right.
telling yourself right now. you know. And sometimes that can mean that some people fall away and new people come in, but I think we all get what it is that you desire. Now the question is, how do you know that you have it?
When you asked that quickly the first time, my instant response was, the sadness will go away. And I know that that's not very big of me.
No. Stop judging yourself, okay? So here, take a mental no judgment, automatic judgment, okay? You need to work on that. Okay, who says so? Okay, it's totally legitimate to say what the first thing is that comes up. So there's a certain pain, a certain sadness that you carry in you. And when you feel deeper connections, that goes away. That's only natural to say, I want more of that, right?
Yeah, that's how
In
it
fact,
feels.
it's actually good that you know that deeper connection can remedy that. But all you know is the phenomenon of it. Yeah? You know there's a phenomenon that when you reach deeper connection, some or all of the pain and sadness goes away. Now, the big question is, and this is literally the topic of this workshop series, how can you get there?
By
How,
focus, by grounding and allowing and letting go.
okay, focus. That's something that we are discussing here. Yeah, like how can we hone in? How can we align? Yeah, to what we want. Yeah, for that, the prerequisite is that you know what you want.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's been my struggle.
All right. Well, but you know parts of it.
Yep.
Yeah, you know that you want to feel something like a deeper connection. But maybe, you know, that requires a little more work on your part, you know, to define this a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying maybe because, you know, we're just at the beginning of it. So first you need to know what you want in order to focus your energies onto it. We all know what happens if there's a confusion around what we want. We spent 2 workshops on mastering our needs and wants and our goals. Yeah, it's very, very important workshops. Yeah, because I show the mechanics of that. Yeah, how to figure this out. Yeah, but first we need to know what it actually is that we truly want. And connected is what we need, because sometimes our ego tells us we want this, we want this, we want this, but we don't even have the foundation for that. It's something that Janet just found out. You know, there are some things that we need first. Yeah. So then we can focus. And you said, if I
Allow.
remember this right, you said grounding. You said grounding. All right, describe to me in more simple words what that does for you.
It gets me out of my ego. And so it sort of quiets my mind and allows my heart to come in, or maybe light connection, so that I'm just not so busy with nothing.
All right. So why not call it that way?
Unbusy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, busying ourselves with stuff that has no meaning to us, we call this distraction.
Yes.
Weeding out the distractions. And how can we weed out distractions? With prioritizing. Yeah, with reminding ourselves what it actually is that we want to occupy ourselves with. It has to do with our behavior. Who's in control of that?
Me.
You are. Yeah, and you use the word grounding that because that's something you actively need to do. You actively need to remind yourself of it. But call it for what it is, Linda. This helps. Using those spiritual or energetic terms is ill-advised. It's too abstract. Yeah, when you want to manifest something, work with the meaning of it. Yeah, what it means, like the feeling that you get when you're grounded. You want to feel more with yourself. Yeah, more in yourself, because when you're not in yourself, you get distracted with all kinds of outer things. Most likely other people's problems. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, just guessing. Okay. Yeah.
How
But
was
you
it?
see, it's just following the breadcrumbs here. Okay. Yeah. So how can you create better conditions? Well, you could, remind yourself to not pay attention to other people's problems so much. Yeah, because that gets you off your center. That gets you out of yourself. That distances you from yourself. It disrupts your inner connection. Now we found out something else.
Mhm.
Yeah. That part of what you're looking for is actually deeper connection with yourself.
Oh,
Okay. Then you said something else. You said allowing. All right.
maybe
Okay.
it's trusting the process. Trust.
Yeah, that links in with allowing patience and things like that, right? To just, I mean, when you say trusting the process, it kind of sounds like God's mysterious ways. So I don't
Yes.
like, yeah, I don't like it when you guys mystify things. Okay. Yeah. There is a mystery in spirituality, and that has a place there, but it's in a different place. Not when it comes to behaviors. God helps those who help themselves. Simple as that. Do you know what I mean? So anything that
That's
you can
cool.
do, you must do. You know?
Mhm.
Otherwise, the mystery, the miracle, does not grip. Okay, we learned this in the Course of Miracles.
Yes.
Yeah? The more we try to interfere with our ego, interfere as in like thinking we know how it goes, okay, the less likely miracles are possible. So this is a different part of the dynamic. First, we got to cover the ground. First, we got to know what it is that we need to do, yeah, or that we can do, that we can control. There's a lot of things we can't control, yeah, and the higher the consciousness, the more inclusive your way of thinking and your perception becomes, and therefore, you recognize that you don't actually need as much control as you think you need. Okay, but we have to work our way up there. So I said allowing. Okay, so what should you allow more and what should you allow less?
I think, oh. Each time I say I think, I say to myself, stop thinking.
No, it's fine. I mean, in workshop set up like this, you know, and this is all live coaching here that I'm doing with you guys. That there's a thinking part in that. That's fine. But if your instinct tells you not to start the sentence like that, then maybe just change it up as like I feel. It
Yeah,
softens it.
I feel like I need to be open to sort of like the allow, the trust, the uh, to allow it to come in,
Okay.
to stop blocking. Maybe that's what.
All right. So that's the counterpart. Yeah. You should not allow yourself to block it. Okay. How are you blocking it?
Either with busy or with uh, lack of what's it called, unworthiness, sort of.
Lack of presence, being present.
Mm, okay.
Okay. Distractions. Okay. So
Yeah.
less. You should allow less or fewer distractions and allow more being present with yourself. Hmm? Can you
Yeah.
settle there?
Yeah.
Yeah. As sort of like a step guide. Okay. And then you said letting go. What do you need to let go of more often, and what do you need to let go of less, fewer times? What are you
For,
letting go of that distracts you?
I think my distraction is judgment and control.
That's what you were doing too much of.
Yeah.
That's the excess. Now, what's the deficiency?
Love and accepting.
Okay, you're looping now. Okay, so let's go back to control. Okay, now when control is the opposite of allowing. All right, so that's why that loops.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and letting go goes hand in hand with allowing and control,
Okay.
or letting go of control, because letting go really means letting go of control, which is the same as allowing. They all
Right.
belong together. So what should you try to control less, and what should you try to control more?
Wow. I draw a blank.
Well, you've already said what you want to control less, yeah? So because you said you want to allow more. So obviously there's parts of your life where you control too much.
Yes.
And maybe that even has to do with other people's problems.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so maybe you try to control other people's problems too much.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so here you got a little, not a little, big piece of the distraction. Okay. And then what are you not controlling? Where are you not exerting enough self-control?
On my own life, what I
Yeah.
want and what I
Hmm.
need.
And your own time too, right?
Yeah.
The way I see your energy is that there's barely any time left that you
Yes.
could even allocate because you're so busy controlling other people's lives.
Oh, my poor family.
Yeah, I mean, no, dude, I happen to know this for a fact. You know, you have needy people around you. Okay,
Yeah.
let's be fair. Yeah, there's no judgment in here. Yeah, so you've created an environment, you've created manifestation conditions, Linda, in which the people around you are completely dependent on you.
Yes.
And I say it in this way on purpose because, you know, obviously the ego doesn't see it that way. The ego sees you as a victim. And you've got to control this because if you don't, what's going to, you know, what's going to happen to them? So when you say allowing, yeah, you want to allow more, well, realize what that means.
The danger of getting further out of my lane.
Hang on.
What you're
No, no, no,
saying?
no, no.
Oh,
No.
okay.
So you just found out that main contributor to these adverse conditions that you have is distraction. And
Yeah.
that distraction mainly comes in through trying to control other people's lives.
Right.
Now, these people are very needy. Yeah. And I said, you created those conditions. I don't know if you heard that, but you know,
Oh,
you
yes,
created
I
that. Yeah.
did.
The need to feel needed. Okay. It's like an addiction. It's an ego addiction. It's codependency, by the way.
Yes.
So that has created conditions now where you're kind of trapped, right? You want more time, you want more freedom, you want more love, okay? But there's no time for it because you're way too busy, you know, just trying to maintain everything.
I'm in the
Or,
apartment that doesn't allow dogs.
yeah, yeah, kind of. Except for in this case, it's not that simple. You know, changing the apartment might not be an option, or you know, not as easy. You know, so let's be fair here. Let's stay neutral. Okay. So you've created conditions, yeah, that basically go against what you want. Plus, if we look at it through the human emotional, social emotional lens, you know, if you have someone who controls aspects of your life, then it's much harder to connect with them. Just saying. It's very, very typical, again, quite stereotypical actually for females, for mothers, for, like people in your situation, yeah, with a more or less caregivers. Yeah, you're a caregiver.
Wow,
So,
that was a very powerful sentence.
yeah, you're a caregiver, but you've also created that.
Well, the one about how hard it is for people to make a connection when I'm controlling.
Oh, yeah. Do you trust people who control you or try to control you?
No, I wouldn't.
Heck
But I
no.
don't think I had thought about that.
That is the dark side of codependency.
Yeah.
It's the illusion, it's something that we cannot see. We're not aware of this, because the more we try to control it, the less likely it's actually possible to connect, while we're telling ourselves that this is our way to connect. So it's an error perception.
Yeah.
The way we perceive it is different from the way it's being perceived on the other side. Yeah, so there's a perception, and often it also has something to do with how or what we can conceive. We cannot conceive any other solutions. We think that this is the only solution. Control is the only way to maintain it, to keep it. And then, add fear into this, the fear of loss and so forth, which keeps you there. So you're completely trapped. And I'm saying this in all neutrality and with all compassion, because, I do codependency healing. We do this together. We had several workshops about this, by the way. They're really good as well in your forum. It's just like not being able to see any other way. Yeah, so we're basically trapped by our own monster that we created. Yeah, so it's recursive in a way. Yeah, you know what you want to change, but then there's a part of you that says, well, if I do this differently, then all else is going to fall apart, or hell will break loose, or there's even less connection. And so we settle for, our ego settles for the little bit of connection. And the reason why I call this an issue with conception is because, you've kind of settled with the little bit that you get.
Yep.
Even though that's not enough for you.
Right.
But there's also the element of, well, is there even the right condition for that? You said last time that you believe that they want that too.
And I asked because of the last session, and I probably wasn't properly prepared. I've gone back and listened again, and so I need to prepare better. But bottom line is, I asked the question, and the answer was no, they don't want it.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you're talking to an adolescent, okay, they may just say that out of spite. Okay, so I don't know whom you asked.
Both him and my husband.
Okay, so both your
my
son
husband
and
was more direct.
Okay. Well, Lina, that's then something that needs to be clarified.
Yeah.
Because literally, if that's not part of his goal system, I mentioned that last time.
Yes.
What are you fighting for?
Yeah.
What are you trying to maintain?
Yeah, and so then my little brain goes off on, oh, well, clearly I didn't ask the question properly.
Might be, and maybe the situation wasn't right, and that's why it needs to be clarified. Yes, I wouldn't jump to conclusions, because sometimes if there is a certain coldness that has already established in a relationship, you're not going to get a truthful answer. You're going to get a political answer. Yeah, and all that can be healed. Like in love integrity, we talk a lot about that, how to address those kind of things in the practical. Yeah. because, you know, we're all humans. Yeah. And if there's certain patterns are already progressed in a relationship, well, then you get bad form. You know what I mean with bad form? Yeah. People are no longer authentic. They try to protect themselves or have a wall up or something like that. So we need to learn the tools then how to work with this and, you know, come to consensus. But consensus is always the goal, you know, between two people, family. You need to have a consensus. You need to make sure that both of you have the same goal.
Yeah.
If both of you have not the same goal, guys, and everybody listen carefully here, because this is such a simple thing, you know, in common sense. If you want to grow, but your partner doesn't want to grow, you know, you're going to have to reconsider the relationship. Yeah, because those things cannot be taken lightly. If you want deeper connection, but your husband says he doesn't want deeper connection, then you need to ask, like, okay, there's several different stages of communication in between here. I'm skipping them right now, but you need to ask yourself if this even makes sense. Yeah, I don't mean to sound fatalistic, okay, but the willingness to see things the way they are, which is the same as standing in truth, is the prerequisite for manifesting the higher expression. Without it, you will always, not just you, everybody, you will always manifest a lower expression, you know, the ego version of that. That's the mechanics. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's like you're fighting against windmills.
Yeah, that's what I heard yesterday, or sorry, last session. So I'm just trying to explore that.
And then at some point, you know, and you know this from finances, you know, it's about realizing your losses. So this investigation, guys, yeah, and this was actually your homework, and I'm super happy that you actually invested a little bit of time, a little bit of time to investigate this. Yeah, what are my conditions here? What have I created? What kind of conditions have I created? Are they leading me toward my goal? Or are they leading me away from it? Or are they creating obstacles, yeah, in the sense of like sort of self-sabotage, yeah, like obstacles that I put in place without even being aware of them. And the cause for that, or the, you know, the root of these obstacles, and this is where you mostly find them. You find them in unawareness. Okay, so Linda, if you don't mind, you know, I don't want this to be a painful discussion for you here, but you seem like you're
Too late.
willing to yeah. Unawareness is unawareness part of the equation here. I think to a
Yes.
degree it is. Yeah,
Oh,
I really do. You know, I don't think that you're fully aware of what your husband wants.
oh no, absolutely. I am so surprised at how unaware I am.
But here's the deal, you know, and this has to do again with our society at large. You know, we need to work on our communication. If we go in and ask yes or no questions, you know, that's dualistic in nature. Okay,
Yeah.
then it doesn't leave a lot of room for expressing and articulating. Yeah,
Yeah, and
so
after time, it's also an ego battle, right? So it's hard to come into
that's, I
that
mean, with progression, you know, sometimes, you know, how many years are you married for?
20.
Yeah, so there's lots of patterns going on. Here's my tip for you when it comes to resolving some of the unawareness. And that's actually what I meant last time when I said ask questions. Instead of asking yes or no questions, as well, honey, what do you want? What are you striving for? Open questions. And sometimes we have to kind of make the first step and express what we want. Yeah, so that can, asking questions can resolve and clarify a lot. Yeah, it's like taking an inventory. What am I even dealing with here? And you can't obviously take every word, you can't put every word on the gold scale, okay? Because especially if you've never had those kind of conversations with your husband before in 20 years, then it's very likely that your husband doesn't have a very high emotional literacy level, which means he's probably not used to expressing himself in or articulating those kind of things.
For sure, and neither was I. You know, me joining this group with you was the first time I even recognized things like I was numb. I didn't even know what ego meant. So I'm brand new to it too.
Yeah, I mean, ego is a concept, okay, and it can help us clarify a lot of things. But numbness, for example, is a sensation, is a feeling. Yeah, so that's what I mean with emotional literacy. You know, this ability to be aware of how we're feeling.
Yeah.
It always starts with us, and then we can carry this into the world, into our relationships, yeah, and use it to refine our communication. So unawareness is the main cause, yeah, confusion. Then the next one is error perception. Error perception is slightly different. That is when we think we know it. We think we know what the other wants. Yeah.
That's where I was.
Yeah. And that, you know, a lot of times that does go hand in hand with unawareness. But, you know, in the case of narcissistic relationships, I'm not saying that you're in one, but I know many of us here listening have been in one and know this really well. It can also be part of the strategy. Yeah. To give you this perception that they want the same thing as you do in order to, you know, get you to do things. In your case, if you don't mind me going a little more into detail, your husband gets you to do a lot of things for him. That could be quite convenient for him. So sometimes error perception can be rooted in ourselves, yeah, in a delusion, or induced by others. So when we talk about mind control and stuff like that from media, that's induced. That comes in from the outside. Yeah. Error perception can have a lot of causes, which is why mastering our perception is such a big element of self-healing. You need to know what you're perceiving and whether it's truth or not, because ultimately error perception leads to the need to discern truth. So the confrontation with untruth is the biggest motivator. Sorry for this, guys. Is the biggest motivator for changing something in the way we perceive things. Now that's why, you know, opening up our thinking, opening up our perception helps us to clarify, helps us to verify things. The next one is rigid thinking. Our rigid thinking is all about how we think. Now, how we think. That's, you know, something that goes into the area of conception. How are we able to conceive things? Can we imagine things? How we think things have to be. Yeah, this is often linked to externalization. Yeah, the way we think sort of in structures and constructs. Oh, that's the way we've always done it, and that's why we keep doing it, even though it sucks. That's rigid thinking. Who says that just because it's always been done that way, you have to do it that way? Maybe get completely toxic. Often it is. Or, oh, it's got to be by the rules, or it's got to be what the neighbors expect, or it's got to be what the parents expect, or whatever. There's all rigid thinking, unfree thinking, unfree. Yeah, so we got to liberate our thinking, open our mind for new perspectives, because new perspectives create new perceptions, and that then creates more awareness. Okay, so rigid thinking in the majority of people, guys, that I have worked with in my life is, besides unawareness and error perception, one of the biggest obstacles. Yeah, because we can't even conceive things to be different. That's why we spend so much time about figuring out what we truly want. Yeah, remember, everything that exists must have existed in a consciousness, in your consciousness before. Everything you want in your life must exist in your consciousness. You must be able to conceive it to achieve it. Can you even imagine your husband being a loving, caring, supporting husband?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the other thing I hear in it is my family would tell me that I'm a very
Mm-hmm.
thinker, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that. So,
No, that's the error perception. You can't. Yeah, but you can't, because the way you're thinking and the thoughts that are being produced by your thinking, okay, they don't match up with who you are. 3 sessions, 3 workshops here this year about mastering your thinking.
yeah.
It's the hardest one and the biggest task for our societies. Yeah, that's why we're all stuck to lower degrees or higher degrees, because we have so identified. We talked about this last time. We have learned to identify ourselves with our thoughts so much that we become what we think we are. Anybody who has an issue with sense of self, look at your way of thinking. How do you think about yourself? How do you talk to yourself? How do you conceive yourself? That's all stuff that has to do with rigidity. Oh, no, I can't do that. Oh, no, that's not for me. Oh, no, that's just for others. Even victimhood is a form of rigid thinking, because it pushes sort of every impulse and every phenomenon into sort of one channel. It's very black and white. Yeah? Remember how much we talked about schisms and duality? They come from rigid thinking. Now, your instinct tells you to open up more, to allow more. Yeah, yeah, very good instinct, very good guidance. It's true. Yeah, because if you allow yourself to think in different ways, your thoughts change. And when your thoughts change, your inner programming, what you feed into yourself, basically what you dwell on, changes. That's why a big part of the soul self-initiation, the grace healing, everything that I do, sacred self-healing, is all about reprogramming that part. Spirituality cannot be practiced without mastering your thinking. But at the same token, you cannot practice spirituality with just thinking. And why is that? Because your thinking is errors, because your thinking is rigid. Until you've gone through literally a process of unhooking all of that and liberating your mind, everything you're thinking, well, I give you guys stats. 80% of what you're thinking is not your own thinking anyway. Okay. And of those 20% that you perhaps think yourself, 90% of your thinking process is just the regurgitating of the same thing over and over and over again. No space for new thoughts, new perspectives, nothing. And that is sort of a fundamental truth that we all need to arrive at. Unawareness, we can't really blame ourselves for it, because, you know, we don't know what we're not aware of until we become aware of. Error perceptions is part of our human condition. We all have to deal with error perceptions. Yeah? So if I look at what I thought yesterday and what I think today, I can see how I had an error perception yesterday, and I put that into account for tomorrow. So everything that I'm thinking today, there's a certain level of error perception that I might, if I'm lucky and if I'm aligned to evolving and to growing, I will be able to, you know, balance those out. But you have to just content with that thought, or with the understanding that your mind is errorless. Your ego mind is errorless, period. And all the thoughts that it produces are BS. Not all of them, but the majority of them. If you can arrive at that truth without blaming yourself, without judging yourself, and just say, yep, I can see that now. For 50 or 60 years of my life, I've invested in all these things, all these thoughts, all these things that I told myself, you know, who I thought I'd be, who I thought I had to be, only to find out now that was all total BS. I had nothing to do with me. So if somebody arrives at that point, guys, then all I can say is congratulations. Now you've understood some of your human condition better. That's part of what you need to contend with. So, you know, anything that we discuss here in self-healing is supposed to help you with that. It's supposed to bypass that. Yeah, you have to let go of your identification with your thinking first. And we do this by focusing on other things. Yeah, first bypassing it, and then forming new neural pathways, opening things up, becoming more aware, making the unconscious conscious, uncovering all our error perceptions, recognizing our rigidity in thinking and our negativity, our fear-based thinking. And then lastly, and this is the hardest one, is to filter out the projections. The projections now have to do with our emotions and our needs and desires, how we want it to be, the fantasy, how we'd rather have it. And the reason why this is so hard to differentiate or to discern with projection is that because we are all energetic beings, because we constantly interact energetically, we are not just subjected to our own projection, which psychologists call self-deception. We are also subjected to other people's projections. Not just what they think of themselves and how they think they need to be, but also how they see you and how they see the relationship with you. Projection is an extremely powerful tool that our mind possesses. But if it's unconscious, it's like the sorcerer's apprentice. We're projecting things into things with our assumptions, with our mystifications, with our fantasy, with all the even fake positivity. Those are all projections. And then we project things onto people, how we want them to be, what we want them to change, etc. So that's the hardest one to come by. But I can tell you that if you work on your awareness level, and learn to discern truth, you are beginning to realize at some point, one day you'll wake up and you're like, oh my God, I had no idea how much I project. And then you feel bad for a little bit because, you know, you always thought it's only other people who project things. You know, you come to realize, oh, I project onto them. I assume things. I do mind reading. I, you know, presume things. Never even ask them if they want that. Or, you know, I have repressed anger or unfulfilled needs. And instead of saying it out loud and being honest and truthful and authentic about it, I do it from behind. I try to make them do things. Oh, my life is so hard. Look at all the things that I have already done today. Ah, I wish there was somebody who would help me. Something along those lines. That's a projection. Projections are toxic. Why? Because they're not based on truth. Truthful expression of your needs would be, oh, honey, I'm completely pooped out. I don't know if I can muster the energy to do this or that or whatever your chores are. Would you mind doing that for me today? That would be so kind. That would make me feel so loved and so supported. Are you okay with doing that? There's no projection there. Now, granted, you must kind of feel that way. You can't say these words like kind and loving and supporting if you're not feeling that way. One of you know, the most typical projections in relationships is anger, snappiness, passive aggressiveness, gaslighting, all these kind of things that we do to hide how we truly feel. Yeah, so any type of hiding, any type of avoiding your true feelings is also a projection. Yeah, what a mess. That's what we're up against, guys. Yeah, so when it comes to, you know, read our way through this and create something like a step list or what can we do? Okay, I've shown the way in the 21 steps of the Sacred Self-Healing program. Those are the ways those are the steps you have to go through. The last 3 steps are about something different. They have to do with alignment. Here are some pointers for you. If you want to make your own manifestation more efficient, well, and master your conditions, master your environment, and master your interactions so that they become more conducive, yeah, more supportive for what it is that you want to manifest. You can ask yourself these questions. What can I conceive? Now, this has a lot to do with what can I imagine? This is your vision board, guys. Yeah. And spend some time with that. Really go into, you know, what you can and want to imagine. That is sort of the container, yeah, the space in which you manifest. And you can tell if you have very rigid thinking, and oh no, I can't do this and I can't do this, and no, that's not possible, then what you can conceive is very small. So the space in which you can manifest becomes very small. With it, also the room for error, with the room for experimentation and refinement becomes very, very small. It becomes a hit or miss, a lottery win. If you cannot even conceive yourself, what you feel like when you're in a happy relationship, yeah, the chances of manifesting a happy and loving relationship is 0. Then what do I perceive? How do I perceive how it is right now? Now here, most of you, at first will say, yeah, I can perceive the lack of something. I can perceive the, like, excess of something. I perceive what's wrong. That is what I perceive. And I've talked about this a million times. If you manifest or if you want to manifest your life, you need to refrain from all the things that are wrong. If you focus on what is wrong in your life, then you will energize those things that are wrong and you will manifest more of them. That is how these mechanics of manifestation go. The more you dwell on something, the more energy you send into the direction of something, the more you will manifest that. So be very careful with that. What obstacles am I holding in mind? And this has to do with the rigid thinking and also your belief systems, your mental constructs. Yeah? Oh, I don't deserve to be happy. Only other people, get happiness. I don't. Or I'm not good enough. Or, oh, if I did what I truly wanted, then everything would fall apart. Oh, the world is against me. People are hostile and I'm a victim. Huge factor, in not being able to manifest your vision of yourself. Then what am I protecting? Does this even match up? What I bring out into this world and what I put out there and how I present myself and how I see other people responding to it. Does this even match up? Is this congruent? Is this authentic? Next, what is my attitude? What is my life view? Do you think life is a punishment and being here on this earth is a penal colony, and do I want to get it over with? Do I have beliefs or no, not beliefs, but concepts of mind such as, oh, I want to finish up all my karma so that I don't have to come back again? Yeah, so many people in spiritual communities think that way. What kind of attitude is that? It's like you hate life. If you have a negative attitude to life itself, do you think life is going to respond positively to you? It's like with any other person. If you hate on a dog and treat it badly and think that this dog is nasty, but do you think that dog is going to be nice to you? Or people for that matter? If you think that they're all dumb and they don't not getting it and you're the only one who knows it and you need to like convince them or you need to do things for them, you need to control them because they really can't take care of themselves. What kind of attitude is that? Do you think they're going to respond positively? Then am I engaging in behaviors that distance me? Well, that's a big one. That's a bit trickier because, if we are with people or partners that are not very communicative, that do not have, a good emotional vocabulary, well, we may never find out. But, if you do a little bit of self-exploration, then you can find out, what distances you from you. And with that, you increase your compassion, and that can then help you basically to empathetically figure this out. If you tell a person all day long what they're doing wrong and You know, they're treating you badly, and are you a victim, and you know, and how this all sucks and everything. Do you think that their motivation to do something for you, or you know, to support you in the efforts or whatever, is high? I don't know about you. I don't like being around people like that. And lastly, what can I do to create better conditions? Now, this is basically the conclusion of this workshop series. It's the holistic perspective. What can I do to create better conditions? What area of my life should I focus on first, or start with here, to make it easier for myself, to make it more authentic, more aware, yeah, more expressive? What do I really need to work on? Is it really that I need more money in order to create deeper connection? Really? Do I have to be more social in order to be more spiritual? Do I don't know, need to be in a certain status in order to be able to contribute? Is this true? Revamp all of this, refine this. Yeah. A lot of times what you focus on is not really what produces better conditions. Yeah. Oh, I got this job offer and they're offering me double the salary that I had before. Only problem is, you know, the work hours suck because, you know, I can't really have any social life, and my employer is a narcissist, and, you know, when I come home, I feel so sucked dry. I can't even do anything anymore. I fall asleep on the couch. Is that a good condition to create a meaningful, happy, lasting relationship? What do you think? Yeah, you got double the amount of money, and so what? What do you think that's going to do to your health long term? What do you think that's going to do to your social life, to your ability to connect? Those are just a few sort of common examples. Things have to be in balance, guys. Yeah? So yes, we all need to make compromises. We all need a certain level of financial stability, a certain level of sort of physical security, if you will. Yeah, like fundamental needs. Yeah, let's have a look at them. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah, so we all have biological, physiological needs, and they need to be covered first. Okay, I don't need to think about transcendence or oneness with the divine. Okay, if my survival chance is zero. Food, shelter, warmth, sleep, sex too. You know, sex is part of our fundamental needs. It's not one that we need to survive, but it is one that our species needs to survive. Then a certain level of safety and control, like protection. We need to feel safe. And this is mainly physically and emotionally safe, but not in the sense of trust, more so in the sense of, you know, very fundamental kind of emotional safety. If you live in a war zone, you're not going to feel safe no matter what, on no level. If you live in a place that, let's say you're a refugee and you got, you know, and all your belongings, you lost all your belongings, but you have your family with, you know, that will give you some kind of feeling of safety. Yeah. Then the next level here, belongingness and love, is a very fundamental belonging. Yeah, it's the tribe, yeah, the neighborhood, the extended family. It's not very deep. It's just sort of like knowing where you belong. Basic affection, basic relationships. Then comes esteem, the next level of need. Yeah, the sense of self, a certain level of status and achievement, also knowledge. Now, Janet, what you talked about earlier. And then, you know, most people are stuck here. Yeah, so in these orange and yellow, stuck there because what they truly want is deeper connection, deeper relation. And look here what that's defined as. Self-awareness, meaning, and intimacy. Not the physical intimacy, but the intimacy with yourself and others. And then once you figure that out, you can work on aesthetics and form, yeah? Like your literacy, your ability to express yourself, your communication, your congruency, your clarity about things. Yeah? And also how aware you are of what it is that you're doing. This is a form of aliveness. And once you get that figured out, yeah, then you may start to think about self-actualization. How can I bring myself and my values, yeah, and my higher goals into this world? Yeah, this is when we then, you know, have moral considerations and integrity. Yeah, this is how we develop integrity. Now here, you know, without integrity, you can't really master your energetic conditions, because you have to be aware of the overall energy balance that everything that you put out into this world creates. It also brings the impulse for freedom, for free choice and growth. Yeah? Most people are stuck here but want that, but will never get there because they haven't mastered, yeah, the needs on these levels that connect these. And an even higher level need is transcendence. Yeah, to transcend your ego, to no longer really be selfish about certain things that you want to accomplish, but, you know, to see the whole. Yeah? To gravitate to things that define your role in society, the purpose that you are infusing your being with, and the impulse to contribute, to be of service. And then last but not least, the highest level of need that we have as humans, yeah, and this is on the level of divine consciousness, guys, mind you, okay, we need about 150 lifetimes to get there, is a fully understood and discerned selflessness, devotion, and stewardship. Do you think that you can ever arrive in these places here, yeah, develop these kind of needs and desires and go into them without having this foundation? No, you need to have them. And here on the left, you can see how I put all these states of consciousness, these energy levels, yeah, the Hawkins is calibrated levels of consciousness here in sort of a linear fashion. Yeah? The lower, the more ego, the higher, the less ego, the more true self. Now, the interesting thing is what happens when you look at what we do in order to cope with not having those needs met. If we do not manage to fulfill our need for biological and physiological needs. We will, and this is the dualism of this, both are lower expressions, but one is more passive, more internalized, and the other one is more aggressive, more externalized. We will either slip into apathy, or if it's more externalized, violence. It's a very, very low energetic state. If our need for safety and control on that fundamental level is not met, if it's internalized, we'll tend to gravitate toward pain and depression. If it's externalized, and that can happen in one and the same person, it can express as neediness, greed, hoarding, OCD. And belongingness, if we feel lonely, if we don't feel that we have any kind of connection whatsoever. Yeah, remember the orange level here is very fundamental belonging, a neighborhood, tribe, extended family, and so forth. Versus the green type of connection, that's deeper connection, since we talked about that earlier. The way we cope with not having that met is on the internal level with addictions and also anxiousness, and on the outward directed level or the externalized level, manipulation, trying to manipulate others, protect a lot, to get what we want. And the next, if we can't really feel a good sense of self, if we don't know who we are, if we constantly feel like we're not good enough, the way we try to cope with this is through extensive judgment and criticism, internal. And also external, but that then expresses as anger, superiority, specialness, fighting, trying to win, everything is a competition. That's where a lot of people are stuck. But, to lift the mystery here of what it is that most of us here are looking for, deeper connection. If that need is not met in our life, what we gravitate to it is control and withholding on one hand, and trying to overpower others and guilt trip others on the other hand, and so forth. Those are all illustrations or charts from your Sacred Self-Healing course. Now, the way to shift our energy from a lower into a higher state, I produced a whole entire video on that. And all the different courses that I have, they all deal with these aspects, either of relationships and the love integrity, or the energetic interactions in the energy course, or the healing part in the energy healing. These things here that all belong to like what it actually means to feel connected inside. What it takes to get there. How energetic projection works, how energetic absorption works, and what it actually could look like. The conception of mutual energy exchange. I cover all that in the energy course. So those of you who are more interested in the details of your energetic interactions with others and the world, okay, for you the energy course or the energy healer training is very valuable. It includes the energy course, so even if you don't intend to become a healer, but that is where I explain all these energetic interactions in detail, along with you learning to differentiate, you learning to experience this within yourself. For those of you who are seeking for deeper connections in your life, in your practical life, more meaningful relationships, not necessarily just romantic relationships, but also relationships with your children or with your parents or with friends. I strongly recommend the Love Integrity course. That's an almost 4-month course that Jeff and I conduct together. Yeah, it comes with an online course, portion for reading and all that, and live webinars and tasking, step-by-step tasking. Obviously, many of you are already part of the 24 steps, the inner experience of your higher self. And last but not least, all these, individual and personal things that we sometimes need guidance with, that I handle in personal sessions. And many of you know this. We have a combination of, energy work and conceptual learning, structured conceptual learning, and personal coaching sessions, which is called the Energy Training Club. So there's various versions of it. You just come to the workshops and the energy sessions, or where you come to the workshops, energy sessions, and do regular energy coaching sessions. Those are all discounted packages, basically, based on my experience in the past, what is most helpful for people. Yeah, so we've come to the end of 23, and with it also the end of this workshop series, adjusting to change. As I've already announced in my vision for 2024 and 2025, we are right in front of a pivotal change that is now starting to manifest in our societies. And most of that is basically creating conditions. Now listen carefully. Maybe you hear me say things differently now, that are conducive for us wanting to develop higher levels of consciousness and spirituality. Why, you must ask? Because the confrontation with untruth, the confrontation with unlove and unfreedom is reaching a peak. We are approaching a time now where not even our ego can justify staying where we're at. Because where we're at is starting to become so painful that change, well, not only becomes possible, but actually becomes a desire. We all receive the impulse to change, and not just to modify, but to transform ourselves. More about that self-transformation that we're going through and the stages of that, and how this relates to our current times in our energy talks. Go to my YouTube channel, guys. 800 videos there, talking about all aspects of relationships, energy, etherization, concepts, narcissism, codependency, all that. Free on my YouTube channel. And if you're part of the Sacred Self-Healing community, then you get an additional 300 workshop recordings going deep into the energetic aspect of that. So here I would like to close. I'm wishing you a great transition into the new year. Remember, duality is what we are up against. That's part of the condition that we have to contend with. And the way to do this is to find the third option, to find the middle ground, guys. Christ consciousness is the answer. And that's not a religious answer. That's not the same as, oh, you just got to have faith. No, this is your job now as individuating soul self, all right, to uncover that, the mystery of what it means to be human, and all the cool stuff that comes with that once you got past your ego. That's your benchmark. I love you guys. Stay conscious, And thank you so much for sharing, for allowing us to have these examples. Yeah, you are helping others. You're contributing to other people's healings more than you think you are by allowing that.
Thank you,
Special,
Jona.
yeah, special thanks to you, Linda and Janet, yeah, for allowing us all to see the progression, yeah, and what it's like to follow the breadcrumbs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, everyone. See you very soon. Bye-bye.